Good evening and thank you for joining us. With the change to an all-virtual format for the 2021 interview cycle, we decided to provide a best practices presentation as part of the faculty development to assist program directors with this transition. I hope you enjoy. There have been some mixed reactions from both programs and candidates who are hesitant about going to an all-virtual format. However, we've discovered that there is no need to really modify your current interviewing techniques. You can use what you've always used and take advantage of the virtual format applications. One concern is a perceived inability of getting a feel for the candidate or being able to weed out poor candidates in a virtual interview. Because of this, there is a perception that there is an advantage that exists for an in-person interview. We will find that this concern and perception is not accurate. A hybrid cycle was considered, but it was determined that an all-virtual format puts all programs on the same level playing field and offers the greatest level of safety for 2021. However, some programs not participating in CRISP are still holding in-person interviews. Because of the 2021 cycle, much like the 2020 cycle, has a greater number of candidates than positions, there will be a number of positions left open at the end of March. The all-virtual format and extended interview window allows both candidates and programs to hold a greater number of interviews, thus increasing everyone's potential for matching candidates to their programs. When we look at the literature about virtual interviewing, what do we find? These reported survey results from 2017 reviewed the perceptions and costs of the interview process for a plastic surgery residency application service. Programs spent almost $3,000 per applicant, and applicants spent greater than $5,000 on interviews. The cost per program takes into account closing clinics, not performing OR cases, time spent for interviewing themselves, time spent reviewing the applications, checking references, and time spent determining their designations. In the end, applicants felt that interviews were a greater value than the visit. This includes the virtual interviews, but occurred during a time when visits and rotations were still being completed. They found informational talks to be of little added value. Again, it is assumed that applicants went to the facilities and met with the staff face-to-face. So an additional informational talk was somewhat redundant. When considering candidates, the application showing a surgery training background and academic potential was the strongest predictor of performance. There was little to no correlation between the interview performance and clinical performance. The strongest predictors of clinical success was the objective data available in the application. Therefore, the interview itself did not assist in determining either program success or failure. This leaves the interview as being responsible for selecting fit or determining field for the candidate's place in the program. In conclusion, the costly, resource-intensive in-person interviews were ameliorated by virtual interviews, making it debatable whether or not a face-to-face interview had greater value. The previous study was before COVID. This study by Phillips et al. Was after the initiation of COVID restrictions and was related to the plastic surgery residency interview process. By the time a candidate gets to the interview, they've made the cut based on their academic achievements alone. This leaves the actual interview as a deciding factor for both candidates and programs. This study mainly addresses interview etiquette for candidates, but transcends to programs as well. As you can see, all points are equally plausible for either in-person or virtual interviews. It makes sense going into a virtual interview that you need to research a candidate and get to know them a little bit more. The interview is where you get the feel for whether or not they're the right fit. Since academics speaks for themselves, candidates need to connect with as many providers or peers as possible to get the overall feel for the programs. During the interviews, all parties need to stay engaged and be cognizant of their physical presence, noting their body language and eye contact. Interviewers need to stay positive, listen, and ask appropriate follow-up questions according to the conversation at hand. To avoid the sharing of information between candidates looking to gain the system, questions should be changed up. It may be challenging, but this is your opportunity to determine what sets that candidate apart and what keeps them well-balanced and makes them well-rounded, especially during this time of COVID when their training experiences may have been compromised. At the end, have a quick pitch about the program and focus on changes that may affect an incoming resident. To continue, in November of 2020, Hill et al., with the International Complex General Surgery Oncology Residency Interview Process, provided the following survey data. They were forced to quickly implement an all-virtual format for the 2020 spring interview cycle. The survey results included 30 program directors and 64 candidates. As we know, virtual formats have been available prior to COVID, but there has been hesitance to pursue them due to concerns that applicants and programs wouldn't be able to really get to know each other. Also, there was a concern that lack of a tour of the facility and informal interactions with faculty would fail to convey the culture of the program and the educational environment. As already stated, there are significant costs to both applicants and programs for the in-person process. As a result of their quickly organized virtual interview season, program directors, for the most part, thought virtual convenient over in person, the technology was easy to figure out, and approximately 60% would choose it over face-to-face in the future. 63% felt the platform allowed for accurate representation of the program, and 60% felt it allowed for accurate representation of the candidate. In the end, 83% felt comfortable ranking their candidates. Only 3% strongly disagreed that ranking was comfortable. The results for the candidates show that 97% of them also found it to be convenient and the technology easy to figure out. Only 45% would choose it over face-to-face. A large number of them felt an introductory session with the program director or fellow was helpful, and about half of the candidates felt it allowed accurate representation of themselves, and even less that the platform allowed accurate representation of the program. In the end, 79% felt comfortable ranking their programs. There were a few negative comments by the applicants, which indicated during their interviews, the interviewers appeared rushed or not engaged. I think it's important to stress that although programs are looking for candidates to rank their program and feel the virtual program facilitates that endeavor well, the candidates might not be as convinced. It is incumbent upon the program to engage and attract the candidates they want during the interviews, rather than expect candidates to perform for them. Their study goes on to say in the end, there were 4 primary components of successful virtual interviewing. Peer insight provided by a fellow in an informal setting was valuable to candidates. Pre-interview materials provided ahead of the interviews allowed candidates an opportunity to review and develop thoughtful questions that led to good discussion of the program during the interview. An introductory overview at the start by the program director was also seen as very beneficial. It sets the tone. And finally, a video tour, although not seen as beneficial by 70% of the candidates, offered an opportunity to see the facility for those who may not have been able to visit. When done well, this can really show off the unique aspects of the program. In this year of canceled externships and in-person opportunities, programs need to put themselves on display to recruit the best candidates. We continue with another residency program involving interventional radiology in a study by Patel et al. In July of 2020. In March of 2020, the AACPM recommended suspension of clinical rotations. The USMLE was then temporarily suspended. The electronic residency application service then delayed applications and document availability to programs. All programs were then made to commit to online virtual interviews. This paper reviews some guidance for applicants and programs on how applicants should present themselves in the best light and how programs can best assess the candidates, focusing on improving the virtual interview experience. The applications and interview processes are a compilation of subjective and objective information, which is then used to select candidates. As you are aware, some of the objective information available has been affected by COVID. Candidates have lost externships and rotations. This has impacted their ability to obtain letters of recommendations. The CSPE no longer is required to get into a residency and can be taken at any time during their 3-year program. This eliminates another objective metric. Because of this, and with the increased number of interviews that are possible due to the change in the CRISP format, there will be an influx of candidates with less objective data, program directors have never had contact with. It may be a challenge to determine between truly interested candidates versus candidates interviewing at every program possible. It may be beneficial to develop a metric or rubrics to screen candidates. You may want to have them provide a statement or a paragraph why they want to come to your program or what they know about your program. You may want to ask which attending or resident they connected with and/or why they want to live in the area of your program. These personalized statements to your program can assist you in identifying those candidates who have done their homework and are truly interested in your program. You may also want to involve more providers in the interview process. Previously, because of travel and time restraints, only a few providers may have been involved. You may be surprised that you get a higher quality assessment, as some of these previously untapped providers may develop great insight into the candidates. Candidates also may appreciate the extra attention and being able to communicate with multiple providers, thus getting an opportunity to be part of your program's community. There's also an opportunity for second looks where programs and candidates can communicate after the main round of interviews to follow up on questions and hone in on the top selections. They continued by discussing technology and why programs need to be aware of unconscious bias related to the interview setting, as some candidates may not have the advantages of others. Please ensure you're not judging unfairly on their currently available resources. To reduce stress on candidates, you may want to consider offering a connectivity opportunity. This can be used as an opportunity for residents and candidates to connect and troubleshoot, giving additional insight into their capacity to adapt. Their study showed about 15% of the candidates took advantage of this. The result was decreased stress the day of the actual interview. In the past, in-person social events were deemed critical to assessing fit. Now those social events are being replaced with virtual happy hours or breakout rooms. This more personalized experience can connect candidates and current residents or fellows to determine how well they will integrate into the program. I caution that just telling residents and candidates to connect may result in uncomfortable sessions. Provide some guidance or an agenda and limit to short 10-15-minute sessions. Finally, how does that applicant truly learn about the culture of the program if they were unable to visit as scheduled? It is imperative that candidates have access to high-quality info on the program before, during, and after the interview. Some programs will not have to work that hard, as their brand appeal is already known related to their history and reputation. However, smaller and lesser-known programs may need to rise to this challenge. In this study, it was discovered that those smaller, lesser-known programs who were able to effectively convey the vibe of their program had deeply impactful connections with the candidates and resulted in higher ranking. While doing research for this presentation, I attended a number of Zoom informational lectures on virtual interviewing. They're available for free to anyone who goes to their site. Some of their main takeaway points included obvious suggestions worth repeating. Don't forget that you're interviewing. This seems obvious, but interviews need to stay focused on the task at hand and do not try to do other work or have multiple conversations going on at the same time. Limit drinks and snacks and other expected interruptions to the break times. Don't interrupt the candidates if possible when they're speaking. There needs to be a professional, uncluttered, non-distracting space behind you. If you do use a virtual background, choose one that is professional and ensure that you have a high-resolution camera. Otherwise, the virtual background becomes distracting. When you move, it becomes pixelated and body parts can disappear. The best results are obtained when a green screen is in the background, but that is not required. To avoid uncomfortable situations, it's imperative that you turn off the audio and video in between interviews. You do not want to get caught talking about that candidate at hand or others. Most importantly, you don't want to be seen doing something embarrassing in the background by a candidate. Do not try to do these interviews while walking or moving around the office. Try to limit some of the clutter in front of you and be aware if you are rocking your chair or fidgeting and creating a distraction yourself. If you effectively accomplish these objectives, you will appear to be a focused, organized, and professional director intent on getting to know your candidate. This speaks volumes to the candidates. Here's a quick video that demonstrates some of the virtual backgrounds.
Oh, there it is. Okay. So I was telling everyone that I'm standing on the Empire State Building on this ledge, and if I just, oh.
Jet, oh my God, did he fall? Jet, did you fall?
Jet, oh my God, did he fall?
As you could see in that video, as he fell off the Empire State Building, his head disappeared. That's one of the things that happens when it becomes too pixelated. So as we all know, the actual interview is only a small piece of the puzzle. There's an entire application with a personal statement, GPA, class ranking, letters of recommendation, and information on extracurricular activities such as sports and hobbies included. Then we get to our personal knowledge or experience with the candidate or their exposure to other providers. In some cases, you're able to communicate with colleagues at other programs where this candidate may have rotated. I'm at the VA in Cleveland where all the 3rd and 4th year students from CPM rotate. I get contacted by directors across the states asking about particular candidates who have applied to their program. These are invaluable connections in this day when rotations have been canceled and direct contact has been limited. Also keep in mind that contacting the colleges is an option when looking to get a little bit more information on a particular candidate. Now that we've reviewed a little what the literature has to offer, some of the basic advantages of virtual interviewing is as follows. Be assured that programs can still get a feel for a fit of the candidate. Programs are still able to convey the culture of their program. Residency selection committee members can be more involved. This leads to more feedback on candidates. You will be able to schedule a greater number of interviews and second interviews if desired. The 2021 cycle will no doubt be more convenient and less costly for both candidates and programs. The changes in CRISP for this year are going to be reviewed shortly. As with anything, if there are advantages, there are disadvantages. Candidates can create cheat sheets and have them available off the screen for review. This may be detected by observing the focus of their gaze if academic questions are being asked. There may be other candidates in the background that go unseen and unheard. I can anticipate friends trying to help each other get the programs they want by scheduling interviews when they don't intend on ranking a program. Candidate A can schedule a program interview early and have candidate B standing in the background taking notes. Then candidate B can interview at the same program and potentially have a leg up on the competition because they were privy to candidate A interview. No matter where candidates happen to be interviewing from, they will be subjected to potential interruptions from that environment. There are all sorts of reasons why. Bandwidth may be sketchy or problems may exist with their technology. Programs need to be aware of this for themselves and the candidates and be ready with a backup plan should it fail. This is the CRISP 2021 schedule. Currently, programs are selecting applicants for the interviews and submitting their dates and times for interviews if they are utilizing the CRISP platform. As you can see, interviews can occur any day of the week and go from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. program time. The actual scheduling of interviews will begin soon on December 21st, and CRISP interviews officially start January 7th. This is for COTH members only and goes to January 31st. Non-COTH members are then permitted to interview for the next 3 weeks. This allows for 6 weeks of interviewing for COTH members and 3 weeks for non-COTH members. This extended interview time will allow programs and candidates a great deal of flexibility in interviewing as many times and with as many people as they can possibly schedule. In addition, if desired, it can allow for an additional visitation to a program. This concludes on February 23rd at 3 p.m. when designations are due. So based on the information I've been able to gather, there are some tips for helping to make your program stand out and guidance for how to successfully perform virtual interviews for this 2021 match cycle. These tips will cover how to conduct the interview, a technology review, the importance of over-communication, how to portray your program's environment, and the importance of a culture pitch. It is advisable that this process is taken seriously by all your participants and that follow-up occurs with the candidate. Information on how the virtual interview will be conducted and the schedule needs to be communicated clearly with the candidates. CRISP is providing the platform only for scheduling. Individuals and/or institutions will choose their own virtual platform. At this time, everyone should be aware that all virtual interviews for the 2021 cycle are occurring. However, it is not required, as some programs who do not participate in CRISP continue to hold their interviews in person. It's important to keep everyone on your interview team in the loop regarding any modifications during the process to minimize confusion. There are a number of platforms to choose from. Zoom appears to be the most popular, but Skype, Cisco, WebEx Meeting, Microsoft Teams, and Google, etc. are all options as well. Please do not wait till the day of your first interview to perform a video test run. You need to ensure the cameras and microphones are effective in every meeting room. At this point, most of us have all been participating in online education meetings and conferences, so we're all likely aware of our own technology. However, if you have not been the host of the meeting or the one sharing the screen, you need to do some practice runs to ensure you know how to run the meeting. This is especially true if your plans include having an academic portion and need to share pictures, radiographs, or a video. The limitations of cell phones make them not the first choice for doing this type of interview and can be very distracting because of the motion. The small screen also limits abilities. FaceTiming an applicant seems a little too casual when the professional platforms are available for use. For best results, use your desktop or a laptop that is plugged in order to have the best speed and connectivity. Make sure to exit other applications on your desktop or laptop to avoid the distractions of potential pop-up interruptions. A quick note with regards to audio technology. Candidates who have the resources and technology awareness will no doubt be using either earbuds, headphones, or headsets and microphones. The best audio results by far occur when these are in place. Do not judge on the presence or lack thereof with this type of technology. Communication cannot be overemphasized. You want to avoid a bunch of questions the day of or the day before going back and forth between you and the candidates. Send out and communicate as much as possible prior to the interview and clearly state the process. You can publish or reach out in any way you desire to make sure the details of your interview are known. You need to let the candidates know which platform you're using ahead of time, as they may have to download additional software. In an effort to reduce a little stress on this potentially very stressful day, you may want to advise the candidates on the makeup of your interview, whether it's social, academics, or a mix. It is also beneficial to let the candidate know who they're going to be interviewing with, as they may desire to do a little bit of research. Should technology fail, and you should expect that technology will fail, you need a backup plan. Make sure to provide a direct cell number for contact with the candidate the day of the interview. As mentioned before, it's important to limit distractions. Advise everyone to silence their cell phones, office phones, and to avoid talking over each other. Lighting is important, and you should avoid backlighting, which produces a lot of shadows and an inability to see a face. Front lighting is preferred. And this seems obvious, but the position of the camera is also important. It always amuses me how many people have half a head in a virtual meeting, and I just don't understand if they're able to see themselves why this continues. In many cases, there hasn't been an opportunity for candidates to visit a program. The culture pitch may be a critical part of your interview. As much as you need to develop a feel for the candidate, that candidate no doubt has a great interest in knowing what the culture of your program is, as they're going to be spending 3 years there. So how do you do this? This can be in the form of telling a story, sharing an event, or showing pictures. You could choose to have current residents or fellows provide a quick rundown of a typical day, or even have video testimonials from previous distinguished residents who are currently in practice. You may want to develop a video of residents or the facility at work or play to show their interactions. A lighthearted welcome video by the director or chair of the department may also be appreciated. Keep in mind, this video should authentically reflect the education, amenities, residents, and locality to a candidate who's looking to potentially move across the country. Focus on ensuring your voice and facial expressions indicate that you're engaged with the candidate. Social media can be a powerful advertisement for your program. It may be something you engage in yourself, or you can rely on colleagues or residents to do this. Whatever social media platform or platforms you or your staff and your residents choose, it should be a positive reflection of the events at your program. You may want to consider designating a single site for all the candidates to be connected with. Encourage your current residents to share pictures, stories, or videos of their time with your program. This provides a great deal of information to a candidate and allows for an interactive platform where questions about the program can be answered. But keep in mind, someone needs to monitor it closely to ensure that only information you want is posted. Here's a wonderful video of Colleen Napolitano's program in Illinois. It is available on YouTube and is presented here with her permission. It quickly reviews the facility and some of the amenities available. There's just music in the background. No one's talking during this video. So remember, the candidates are likely nervous about this situation of being in an all virtual interview for a program they're trying to acquire for their surgical training. Make sure you and your team are taking it seriously by looking the part and displaying the best your program has to offer. Remind everyone to smile and maintain eye contact and be aware of their body language so that they are engaged with the candidate. Avoid typing or taking excessive notes, as this can be distracting. Be understanding if life interrupts the candidates. We all know what a barking dog, a doorbell, or an unruly child can do to your focus when you're trying to impress someone. If you appear too comfortable or casual, it may relay that you don't care or are not interested, and that is not the last impression you want to leave this potential candidate with. Following up within the appropriate guidelines of CASPER is appropriate. You can thank the candidates and give them feedback. You can also obtain anonymous feedback from them. Using something like SurveyMonkey, you can send out a quick survey to all the people you interviewed after the match to get an idea of where you excelled and where you failed in this virtual environment. This may assist you in the future. Advise the candidates if there are any next steps that they should expect. And you may want to consider having a get-to-know-you online session with current residents or faculty to finalize the process. I'd like to provide some considerations for your virtual interview process to improve the experience. You may want to consider making short videos of the facility, attendings, residents, or your city. A day in the life of the resident is always appreciated. Have the PGY1 talk about their first year experiences. Since the PGY2 will be the seniors for the 2021 incoming class, have them do a quick interview to introduce themselves. Have the PGY3 talk about getting job offers or being accepted for a fellowship or their confidence in surgery. These videos can be presented in a special introductory session by the residents or a coordinator. Since not all programs have the option to produce videos, real-time testimonies can be just as effective. Social media has been mentioned before, but your program's existing website or other online option may be a place for you to provide information about the program structure, rotations, case logs, and other materials. They can be reviewed by the applicant at their leisure. This may result in decreased day of interview pressure to answer questions when time may be limited. Here's another example of an excellent video of Travis Motley's program in Fort Worth, Texas. It provides not only videos of the facility, but also that day in the life I mentioned, as well as other resident and provider snippets. It's available on YouTube and is provided here with his permission.
So a day in the life of a JPS podiatry or foot and ankle surgery resident is pretty busy. We get here like every day, early in the morning. We're checking on all of our patients, and then depending on the day, we're either in the OR all day or we're running clinic by ourselves. It's super autonomous, which I think is really good for me personally because I like to have a lot of freedom. And then the patients here, there's a lot of complex things going on, so you're just getting a lot of experience.
We're in a multidisciplinary setting with multiple specialties, multiple fellowships, multiple residencies, and we all work together as a team. We don't expect anything from residents that we wouldn't do ourselves. It's a lot of work, but it's a lot of reward.
I think the clinical volume that we get here is kind of unrivaled based on, what I've seen from other programs when I was rotating as a student. The exposure we get here is unreal, and the autonomy we get with our patients starting from the very first day of residency is unrivaled from any other residency experience that I saw as a student.
One of our main qualities that we pride ourselves on is if you're comfortable doing something, you've researched it, and you can teach someone else how to do it, then you can do it yourself.
Even when you're just seeing patients in clinic, you're not asking questions, changing some meds. You're actually doing things for them, making them feel better, but as soon as they walk out the door. So that's super nice.
The surgical training of our program is 3 years. It's not all just surgery. Some of the most important part of surgery is seeing those patients in clinic, evaluating those patients, determining what's appropriate for them. And then so our residents get to manage those patients pre-operative, perioperatively, and post-operatively. And they get to manage everything about that patient, whether it be complications or the easy parts as well.
All of our attendings here graduated from the John Peter Smith podiatric residency and now are attendings here. So they kind of know what interns and second years and third years are dealing with as far as workload because they've gone through it themselves. They know exactly what the atmosphere of this program is.
When I came here, it was fantastic. The residents, the attendings were top notch, had a great reputation, and they absolutely lived up to it. So when I got the opportunity to not only rotate here, but also to be selected, it was quite an honor.
We spend a lot of time together during the day. We also all get along well, so we spend time together outside of the hospital.
There's a lot of volume and a lot of work to do, but at the same time, I feel like we do a good job of keeping the balance. There's some good personalities in the program. It's one of the things we try to look for when we're selecting candidates is a combination of intelligence, skill, and personality. We are pretty proud. I like to brag on our faculty group. All are board certified in foot and reconstructive ankle surgery.
John Peter Smith is renowned as one of the top residencies in the country. Whether you're on the West Coast, Midwest, or on the East Coast, everybody knows the name John Peter Smith, and they know what kind of training we're getting here at John Peter Smith.
Our residents are highly recruited. They're highly recruited financially. They go into large orthopedic subspecialties. They go into large hospital organizations, and they know that when they leave our program that they're well prepared, They don't need any hand holding, any coaching. They're a plug and play situation no matter where you go.
I think most of the residents that come out of here definitely get the jobs that they want, well-respected jobs, whether it be with an orthopedic group, a multi-specialty group, private practice podiatry, whatever it may be. But I think that they take a leadership role here in Fort Worth or various communities around Texas and across the nation.
One of our greatest strengths is our positioning within the hospital. You know, we'll be co-managing patients a lot of times, where it's a polytrauma and it'll be general surgery, orthopedics, plastic surgery, vascular, and podiatry.
So we're doing joint cases with them. We're in the same office as them, and we like really work together. I've never seen a relationship like that anywhere else in the country whenever I did my rotations. And I think that's one of our biggest strong points of our program here is having such a great relationship with them.
Residency is going to be a tough experience no matter where you go.
Be willing to work hard. It's tough when you first start, but absolutely worth it in the end.
When you leave our program, you'll be well equipped to handle anything that you're going to run across in any situation.
I really liked all of the attendings. They were all really nice and then very knowledgeable. I thought it was just a great program, a great opportunity for me. So that's why I chose here.
So, on December 7th, CRISP opened for designing your interview schedule. You may want to consider offering candidates multiple interviews since this cycle has such great flexibility. You may want to consider having the program director do their own interview as one-on-one so you can truly focus on each other. Other resident selection committee members can also have one-on-one interviews or can be grouped. The residents may interview one-on-one or as a group, but I would recommend having a set agenda or set of questions to keep it moving. It can be a valuable experience. This may be where the short videos are provided. One large single interview with a group of people may be overwhelming. It can be intimidating to the candidate, or the candidate can get lost if the conversation gets out of hand. There's a lot of body language that occurs in large groups, and some people may inadvertently appear disassociated or bored, and the candidate will no doubt pick up on this. Also, as you have seen in your own group meetings, having multiple people on the screens can be very distracting. Keep in mind the time zones when you're scheduling, as there's a 3-hour difference between East and West Coast. Since there's increased time available before designations are due, candidates may request or you may require in-person visits. This can be determined ahead of time and offered during the interview. When the time comes for a visit, you may want to consider group tours, which would be less time demanding for your faculty. Most importantly, you need to get familiar with your platform. As Zoom is one of the most common, I'll focus on a little bit here. It's suggested that you record some test interviews and learn how to use the waiting room feature, which allows you to admit and remove candidates from the interview room. It does offer some virtual backgrounds as well as filters, but be aware, as discussed before, pixelation can cause issues. Although it has the option for recording and you may use it for testing, it is not advised to use it for the actual interview, as it may make candidates uncomfortable. Be advised a message does show if you or the candidate begin to record with or without consent. Since you must obtain consent if you choose to record the interview, the candidate may feel coerced into agreeing, but actually be quite uncomfortable. So please avoid recording the interaction. There is a slight delay when you hit Join Meeting button. The audio starts after the visual, so do not say hi and welcome the candidate as soon as you see them. Give it a few seconds and wait for your audio to connect. Remember, there's a mute button if you need to use it, and also make sure your profile name is your professional name of choice rather than a casual option. So apparently Zoom bombing is a thing, and it's a security compromise for your interviews. Those savvy young candidates may attempt to self-invite or hijack their colleagues' interviews. If you use the waiting room function, no one can enter the interview without your permission. You can rapidly reject and block unwanted attendees. You may want to consider assigning a moderator to monitor the interview room. It's quick and easy to sign up for a Zoom account, and you can start by hosting meetings with just yourself. That's what I did here. When I selected Schedule a Meeting option, the following screen appeared. On the left-hand side, you can see the options for scheduling a virtual interview. I scheduled a meeting with candidate RS for December 8th at 2 o'clock and set to last an hour in the Eastern Time Zone. On the right-hand side, you can see the meeting ID, which will be sent to the candidate with a passcode in your invite. I have also enabled the waiting room and do not plan to have any video. The meeting options follow. You can review them and select what you want. Once I hit save, I get the following screen. Once I have a number of interviews set up, they'll be listed on this screen. If I choose to start the virtual interview, I'll get this next screen. On the left, you can see the details of the meeting, and when I hit start this meeting, I get the right-hand screen. When I select launch the meeting, I get this screen. I've opted not to start the video at the time I was developing this presentation. I merely wanted to review some of the applications of the Zoom meeting with you. If you choose the security button on the bottom of the screen, you'll see where to enable the waiting room option. You can lock the meeting once you start and enable the participant to have the options listed. If you choose the chat button, the chat bar will show up on the right. If there happens to be audio or video issues, you are still able to chat with the participant and give instructions on what to do. This is where your backup plan comes into play. If you select to share your screen, you'll see the options shown up above. I can share my screen or my presentation. There's also a whiteboard option where you can draw. You can get control to the candidate and request they enable the whiteboard application. Just a suggestion, this may be useful if you want them to draw the arterial tree from the heart to the toes. You're all set up for the day of the interview. Where do you start? Keep in mind, it isn't up to the candidate to drive this interview. Just like an in-person interview, it's up to you to set the pace and the program. Although you've provided a bunch of information ahead of time, it's always good to still introduce yourself and your team. You may want to announce that the interview is not being recorded and the candidate is expected not to record it as well. And you might just want to remind the candidate, who is understandably quite nervous, your program's name, location, and its makeup, and confirm with the candidate who they are. Take this opportunity to review the expectations for the interview and try to keep it about 20 minutes for best results. For those programs who may not have the online options, as I've shown for Loyola and John Peter Smith, you might want to take an opportunity to start the conversation by giving information about your program. This is best handled by the program director to set the tone. Give the candidate an overall idea of the structure of the schedule. You may want to emphasize surgery rotations and other unique rotations that your program has. If there are medical missions involved in your program, outline those expectations as well. You can review the scope of procedures that the resident is likely to experience, as well as some of the travel expectations for affiliations. These days, candidates are looking to know how COVID affected your program with respect to the numbers. Be honest and upfront, providing details to the level you're comfortable with. Many of them are interested in research and publications, and you may want to take the opportunity to review those if your program is active in that endeavor. You can also mention what your program offers with respect to the in-training exams. I have found over time the top 3 questions candidates ask or want to know about programs is the following. What is the call schedule? When do residents meet their numbers? And what benefit beyond the typical vacation, sick time like CME money is offered? You can either wait to have the candidate ask or address it right up front, however you feel is appropriate. Everybody has their own way of handling interviews. Fortunately, however, you've done them in the past, will no doubt work exactly on the virtual format the same way as an in-person format. Try to ask informed questions that show you're interested in them by focusing on their CV. It's sometimes difficult to convey through paper that a candidate is multi-talented and multifaceted, which is what you're trying to tease out in this virtual interview. Beyond the CV, you can ask them to tell you something that's not on it. If you've done your research on them, you'll have an easier time during this interview. Again, don't expect them to lead it. You want to focus on what you have to offer them and getting to know them. This is your opportunity to figure out if they fit with your program. Make sure you provide a friendly, open, and genuinely interested environment that's meant to make the applicant relax and remain engaged despite interruptions that may occur. This is what you want to convey to them. If they have the opportunity to relax, you can see it in their body language and will get to see their true self. If all you do is barrage a candidate with academic questions, the candidate will likely not relax, make a connection, or be inclined to rank your program. If you desire to include a hardcore academic session as part of your interviews, schedule it apart from the main interview. Questions can take on many forms, such as social or performance-based, and you may want to know how they overcame the challenges of COVID. Research has shown that both past successes and grit can be predictors for future success. Past success can be seen in a candidate's academic achievement, involvement in competitive sports, and other competitive extracurricular activities. You can ask them about presentations given during their available externships or interesting cases they may have been involved with. In some cases, candidates may have had extensive hands-on time in the OR. Ask them what they saw their residents struggle with and how they would overcome those same struggles. Past success in academics and beyond can be seen in the CV and additionally teased out during an interview. However, it's difficult to determine if a candidate has grit. Grit is success and achievement no matter what obstacles are in their path. Their activities during COVID restrictions can give you some insight into their level of grit. At the end of the interview, you may want to have a prepared final thought on your program to sell it, and then you can ask the candidate if they have any questions or final thoughts to share. Advise them if there will be future contact or if a future visit is an option, and make sure to thank them for their time. In the immediate post-interview phase, it is important for you to do a self-assessment and take notes of your successes and failures to be better next year. And again, surveys were mentioned earlier, and the research presented mainly focused on research. Some of the main takeaways for this presentation are that effective time management during the interview, unique options for showing off your program, informed staff, and good technology are keys to success. If you have a coordinator shouldering the brunt of this, make sure they're supported well. Get to know the virtual program and take advantage of its applications to really sell your program to savvy young candidates. Produce, publish, and provide as much online or real-time content as you can for your program. And keep in mind that everything you do this cycle can be approved upon should this platform need to continue. While developing this webinar, I investigated the options in doing videos for my own program. There are VA laws and rules that would be broken if I turned my camera on to film. As it turns out, our External Affairs Office and Medical Media Department recently got together to produce a recruitment video for trainees. I will have the option of doing this for our program. But before jumping in, ensure you involve the people who are responsible for giving you permission to do so. And finally, the virtual format can be a superior means of interviewing candidates compared to an in-person. That fit you are looking for is possible to determine utilizing the platform of your choice. Get comfortable with the platform now to ensure your interviews proceed without complication. And finally, for a program with a lot of applicants, this could be an opportunity for a research or publication project. So here's a couple lighthearted examples to end the webinar.
Technology kills viruses in just 1 minute. Dad, holy crap!
El área promocionando los niños pidiendo para que está quedando bien. Perdón.
Goodbye. All right. Hope you guys saw.
Bye.
Hey guys.
Tony!
Can you hear us?
Tony!
Oh no. Jen, call him. Oh my gosh. Well, I'm gonna text a couple pictures of that. Oh. Oh boy.
What's up?
Tony, I can see you.
We can all see you.
And this meditation is great for bringing about a sense of relaxation, well-being, and calm. So starting just quickly by breathing in.
This is my favorite. She's doing
Breathe in.
meditation.
And it's really challenging, I know, with children home from school and working from home, but just trying to just keep all of those distractions out of the way.
Maple, can you stop just for a second? 3, 2, 1. More cold air. 3, 2, 1. Cold air continues across the area tonight. Potential for some frost and freeze for some of us. Warm up, it's going to take. Hey, come here. Come here. Come here. Sit. 3, 2, 1. Frost and freeze for some of us again tonight. The cold air is lingering through much of the week. We'll show you when the best chance of precipitation is with Futurecast. Maple. 3, 2, 1. Maple, excuse me. Hello, come here. Come here. Come here. Do you want to be in this tease? Is that what you want? Come here. Just lean up here. I can do this. 3, 2, 1. Another night where we may have frost or a freeze for some of us, and the cool weather, it's sticking around for much of the week. We'll show you when the warm-up finally gets here.
And that one last bark at the end, I love it. So here's some of the references that they used to produce this webinar. And the COTH Education Committee is currently working to provide a number of webinars on the following topics. We're always looking for motivated people with great ideas who are willing to be part of this endeavor. You can contact me